Welcome to NeuroMovement Revolution with Anat Baniel, where you will discover breakthrough possibilities for your life through the brain's power to change. We're so happy that you can join us in making the impossible possible.
Thank you very much for joining us for this next episode of our NeuroMovement Revolution podcast. We're continuing the topic of Education Interrupted. This is part 4 in our series, Potentiating Your 6 to 10-year-old Child's Learning. So over to you, Anat.
Okay, so thank you so much and welcome, and for all of you that are here. And we just shifted from talking children from 3 to 5. And at the age 6 to 10, I would like to focus on, start with the essential of awareness. Children are very, very aware. They're actually very aware as babies. I'm talking now on a child that does not have any, specific or extreme difficulties or challenges. So, which if anybody has a child that has challenges, and when we open it up for comments or questions, by all means, you're invited and welcome to bring it, because every child needs to learn. Right now, I'm going to talk about sort of the universe of what we call typically developing children. And so babies are already aware. They're not verbal in the sense of having language as we know it, like I'm using it right now. So people tend to not realize the heightened awareness that is operating in babies and in young children long before they can express it in a way that gets through to us, so we get it that it's there. And very often, even when they express it already verbally, we tend to sort of overlook it, and I'll talk about it. That's when we get to slightly older ages. So, and let me give you an example, first of all, of a little baby awareness. Let's say I'm just giving a silly example, but the child learns that when the phone rings, mommy stops paying attention to them, stops engaging with them. And then they know to anticipate it, and then they may have certain behaviors around it. So the brain makes the connections, and there is the awareness. So, this goes with that. So it's a story that my teachers know, but my daughter was about 9. Because of the way I raised her, she was slow to develop. I didn't accelerate, I didn't push. I didn't let the caretakers put her up standing and walk her with the arms up. I wanted her brain to have a wide basis of experiences that she generates and from which to build the rest of her skills, the rest of her life. And so she started, she rolled on her belly, and I think she was probably 7 months or 8 months, and she just started figuring out that if she presses on the elbows, it gets her to move in space, to slide. And there was a toy in front of her on the living room. She was on her belly. The toy, let's say, was about 4 feet away or maybe 6 feet away. And she wanted to get to the toy. And she pressed on the elbows, but instead of doing it by pulling and doing this movement that would drag you forward, she pressed on it in a way that slid her backwards. And I happened to be there to see it. And she stopped. She was so surprised because she expected to get closer. She stopped, and you could see that she was like wondering, like, what happened. She tried again, and she slid further. And then she really stopped. And that was like clear awareness. And I didn't help her. One of the things we do with parents all the time is say, let your child figure it out. Give them space to think. Give them space to what you will consider failure. Extremely important. So, because it's not failure for them, it's just what happens. I do this, I move backwards. So she, I don't know how long but I was transfixed. So I just watched her, and really slowly she started turning herself 180 degrees. And when she was 180 degrees turned, she looked back, she saw the toy, and she pressed on her elbows and slid towards the toy with her feet, until she got to the toy, rolled, scooted like around, turned around, and played with the toy. That is a child that's a few months old. And it didn't happen that time. It starts really early. I worked with a 5-week-old baby that, you can't imagine the level of awareness when we know to read that their brain is figuring things out. So now let's hop over to the 6-year-old to 10-year-old. These are not fully formed, full human beings, right? I mean, they're from the beginning, but certainly by the time they're 6, they have beliefs and they have ideas and they have dreams and they have wishes and they have imagination and they have all that stuff. And the first thing that I would do, I'm talking now because of the COVID, and I know that other experts at times refer to it in their own words, and I totally agree with them. I would like to talk about it in my language. The first thing is to name and acknowledge what is. Not oversharing, not over explaining, not scaring them by looking into the future and saying, I don't know, but actually engaging with a child a lot of times by asking them questions. Even like, what do you think is going on? Or why do you think you're not going to school? By the way, it's so interesting. I find what children say is just so fascinating, what they figure out, how they form the world, because we make up our world. Our brain, through our experiences, makes up our world. So the thing I want to contribute, in our time to begin with, is utilizing awareness and calling upon their awareness. But you also do it in other areas, again, in anything in life. So let's say the child is getting, I don't know if it's a good example, but the child is getting frustrated or and starts, throwing papers on they're not successful in their homework. One of the ways to activate awareness is to be an observer. But you don't necessarily want to tell them what their experience is. So you can ask it, but you ask it in a tone of voice that is safe. And you say, sweetheart, I see that you're throwing the papers on the floor. I'm just making it up. I see you're throwing the papers on the floor. Are you frustrated? Are you feeling frustrated? Be interested. One of the ways to activate the awareness of another human being, because by the way, awareness is a skill. It's a thing we do. It's not a state of mind. It's not a thing that comes upon us from the outside. It's like something that we generate. And we can, as a skill, we can get better and better and better at it. And awareness calls upon the brain to work at what I consider its highest level. You can't be completely crazed and aware of what you do. So what was the name? Young is from Ottawa.
Dungvu. She's still here.
Are you still there? Yeah. Oh, I see you, Dungvu. Yeah, you're a little dark because you have light behind you. one of the things with the children with the autism that, I do, and I do it sincerely, I'm not manipulating them. I just say, oh my goodness, you've just did X. Are you going to do it again? What do you think? And I'll tell you quickly. So we are working with a school district in Canada. We are bringing the work into the school. And of course, it's been interrupted and we're looking for other ways of doing it. But and they have children, also on the spectrum. And one of them, every time, the teachers, they will ask him to get to class and he would have a meltdown because when they asked him to sit, it so well, he's given a task the size of a little flea and he goes like that. So I do coaching of the aides, so I had them show me what happens, the little video, and tell me what happens. And I saw what was happening, and I saw how disconnected they were with the child. They were very well-meaning and very patient and wonderful, except not effective. So I suggested to them that next time you can do it even before he goes into class. But for them, because of the situation, said when that happens and he starts going crazy and yelling, to look at the child, say, sweetheart, you're being really, really loud. Now, you have a choice. You can be loud outside or you can be quiet here. First of all, to ask him, do you want to be yelling now? Do you want to yell? And the child stopped and said, I don't want to yell. And the teacher said, you're sure? And he said, no, I don't want to. And she gave him the option to yell inside, to be outside yelling or inside quiet. And he said, inside quiet. And then his brain just sort of came into place and he was able to focus. It's true for all of us. So when you have your child at home, activating the awareness by asking questions and making observations, but don't make observations that tell them what they feel. This is a huge mistake that people do. You can say, you threw your things on the floor. Are you frustrated? Do you want them to stay on the floor or would you like to bring them back up on the desk? And if he says, I want them on the floor, you say, would you like to do the homework on the floor? Or would you like to take a 5-minute break? Would you like me to sit with you and help you a little bit? Would you like to change the topic? Shall we go outside and just do jumping hoops for 5 minutes, jumping jacks, and then come back? You engage the child's own resources and allow them freedom. So is there another way you think we could work on learning math? Let's look in ways that could be more fun. You can think of it, the child can think of it. It works so well. I mean, in beginning, children, if they have been kind of drilled a lot, might not trust it, but usually children just jump right into it. And then everything gets better. They sleep better, they eat better, everything gets better. So now what I'd like to do is I'd like to open it to comments or questions.
So we already have a couple of questions. I think both people are on the call. Vera asked her question on Facebook, but I believe she is on the Zoom call. She says, our grandson, who is 6, is going into grade 1 at school and still sucks his thumb.
I'm sorry, I was a little distracted. Can you read it again a little slower for me?
Yes, for sure. It's from Vera.
Okay.
Our grandson, who is 6, is going into grade 1 at school and still sucks his thumb. When he was born, he was tongue-tied and couldn't suckle, so had 2 surgeries to snip the connection under his tongue. He's now a healthy, very active boy. Sitting in school will probably increase his desire and need to suck his thumb. Your comments and suggestions are much appreciated.
Is Vera on the call so I can have her back?
There is somebody called Vera on Vera's iPad. Is that you, Vera? Is it you that asked the question? I'm just asking her. She's just.
Here's Vera. Is that you? You have to unmute yourself, sweetheart. We can't read lips. Here we go. Hi, Vera.
Hi.
Where are you in the world?
I'm in Osoyoos, British Columbia.
I was going to say you're in Canada. Canadians have this lovely, wonderful energy. I'm totally in love with Canadians. I tell you, it's not that I'm not in love with other people, but oh my God, you guys are wonderful. Anyway, so when you say he's just wonderful and playful, he's a healthy child. How old is he? 6?
He's 6, yes.
Yeah, and he's starting school, and he's going to go also physically to school?
Yes, he is.
Okay. So first of all, your comment that he will probably tend to do it more when he's in class, going to school, and it's his first year in school?
Well, he has gone to kindergarten.
Yeah. And did he tend to suck it more when he was in the kindergarten than at home?
No, I can't say. We live quite far away from our children. So I don't really know for sure. But I did see him at times after coming from school that he would want to suck his thumb quite a bit.
Yeah. So first of all, this can be predicted. When you increase the stress on the system, I call it as system, a person. When you increase the stress on a system, it tends to regress into behaviors that are less differentiated and safer, feels safer. So it goes to safety. So before I keep talking, are you the mother of the mom or the mother of the dad?
The mother of the dad.
So you're listening on behalf of the dad?
Yes, I suppose.
Is he interested in the input or not?
Oh, yes, very much.
Good. Yeah, so that's important because, there are all those layers of brains. There's your brain, there's the dad's brain, there's his wife's brain, then there's the child's brain. So we have to make sure all the brains are working in sufficient harmony and joint intention. So that's good. So tell the dad and the mom that it's a completely normal thing. There is nothing wrong with it. Mm-hmm. And it's very important to tell the teacher. When is school starting?
In about 10 days.
So there's time. So first of all, I would talk to the teacher. And if and when, what's the name of your grandchild?
Lee.
When Lee is in class and he puts the thumb in, to absolutely not make a big deal, not comment, not to ask to take it out. And then she can do, any number of processes with it. You see, that's where I'm starting to use the essentials. First of all, I land where things are. I connect to the system. In this case, it's Lee together with other children in class. And he's sucking his thumb. And then the teacher can say, when I go to a new place or something that I'm a little unsure about, I would talk about it to the children anyway, because all of them there are in a new place. So to say, what I do is I like to have, when I go to a hotel, to have my pillow, or, she can say whatever, but she has her safety thingy.
Yes.
And then she says to the children, you're here it's very new, so what would make you feel safer? What do you like to do? So, and then maybe somebody said, I want to bring my blankie, or my stuffed animal. And she can say, or she can even tell the parents ahead of time for children to bring their safe thing. Their blankie, their teddy bear, their, I don't know, whatever it is. And then she can say, and some of us just like to really kind of curl up a little bit for a while. Some of us like to suck our thumb. And then she can say, let's everybody suck our thumb for a minute. Let's everybody do this for a minute. That's what I do. I'd go into class. That's what I do. I did in Canada. I just go with what is. I work with it. And I legitimize it, and I bring awareness.
Wonderful.
And you can't imagine the freedom and the joy and how much more intelligent the children become. It's almost like the brain is free to do its real job, which is learning, rather than defend and worry and go back and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Wonderful. Well, we have time for a question and a quick.
So we have Menaka, our graduate, on the call.
Menaka, so good to see you, darling. How are you surviving?
I'm doing okay. A lot.
Okay.
So she had a question in the chat, but maybe you should ask it directly to Anat, Menaka.
Sure. Hi, Neil.
Hi.
So I was just wondering, my 9-year-old just started school last week. He's in 4th grade, and it's all virtual, all online, starting at 9 a.m., going to 1:45 p.m. They have some breaks, but it's really all on the screen. And, obviously COVID makes a lot of that essential. And it's just, the timing's interesting because I just finished CM5, and where you talked so much about learning and cognition and the importance of bringing in movement and all these different things. And I'm just trying to find ways to.
Okay, Menaka, I have an offer. Do you have? I assume you have relationship. Look, you can make anything happen. I am happy to donate the use of a desk trainer and have the teachers give. We might need to do a call with them to show them how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
But because desk trainer are 7 together with setting it up and the kids giving a little feedback and stuff, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You do it 3 times a day, minimum, or do it at least 2 times a day. The only thing I would like is if it would be possible for the teachers to give us feedback how it's going and stuff like that. That will be like my ask from them. And we have questionnaires ready with Dr. Martha Herbert and Joyce Cameron D prepared for Canada. And I'm happy to start with this classroom, and that way your son will get it. And then we'll see where it goes into the future, because it gives them, it just recalibrates the brain completely. It uses movement, but like Merzenich says, he says this is smart movement. It drives the brain in the right direction,
Yeah.
So until such thing happens, I would, how short are the breaks, or do they get a slightly longer break, or?
They get 15-minute breaks, 2 15-minute breaks, and then a 30-minute lunch break. And so I just make him get out of his chair and go play basketball or something. But it will be up to his preferences, and probably you'll want to do mix and match. But the thing is that the desk trainer, if they do it, I do it as part of class time, because teachers say, it takes away from the time me teaching math. Well, Elat is using this kind of work in Israel, and the children, they took away the time for this movement work, and the children learn math and reading and writing much better than all the other classes, because it potentiates the brain. So I don't know how quickly the school will agree to it, but with your son, maybe if you're available, because you're probably working too, but if you're available, you can say to him, okay, how about we do 5 minutes and give him just 2-3 variations of a TML, because you know how to do that. Mm-hmm.
And you can even lie next to him and do it. You both lie down and you both do the movement, so you don't hover over him. He does it, you do it. 5 to 7 minutes of that in the 15-minute breaks will make a huge difference, I think.
Amazing. Thank you, Anat. Yeah, and I'll follow up with you on the desk trainer. That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
And somebody asked what desk trainer is, and I put a little link in the chat, taking it to the page, which gives a little more information about it.
It was renamed NeuroMovement for the busy life.
Yeah.
But it's lessons that I built. They're about 7 minutes at length each lesson. They're animated, so there's an animation of the movement instruction, and there's 39 of them. Give enormous amount of variability, and it's all done in sitting, so you don't have to have a place to lie down or go outside or anything like that. And they are just incredibly. They're very potent. I did it for people that, working a lot of desktop computers way back, and people have pain in the shoulder, pain in this, pain in that, hip, and people do 1-2 lessons. And I remember we're getting emails where say, I've had hip pain for 15 years. I did 2 of the lessons, the pain is gone. And those miracles happen when the brain was simply starving of new information, and these lessons give the brain new information to work with, and then it finds solutions. It just finds solutions. Okay?
Just briefly before we end, Lara had a comment. I don't know, Lara, do you want to quickly come on and just say something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Manika just mentioned CM5, and I just wanted people, in case they didn't know what CM5 was, that it's part of a training program or we train people how to work with adults, and then with the CM5 is working with kids.
Yeah. So what happens there's a practitioner training program that is 10 segments, a total of 100 days. So it's a big training. And then those who are interested, which is usually most everybody, we continue training how to work with children, and we go 0 to 2, 2 to 5, 5 to whatever. So we have 3 covering up to teenagers, and then we do a segment on autism. That's the 4th segment, and the 5th one is on how did they call it? Movement, thinking, and cognition.
Exactly.
The relationship between movement to thinking and cognition, which for so many people is still completely non-existent. People know that it's important to move and it's healthy, and kids have to go outside and run around. But there's movement is really the driver of thinking and cognition. So anyway, so that's CM5, Children Mastery 5. Yeah. Thank you, Lara. And Lara is one of our amazing trainers. So is Neil, and Michelle is an assistant trainer. So we have some of my teachers. I call them my teachers. Not that I own them, but I feel that they're mine.
So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. We do have to leave now because, and on this very important topic, we have got a very important meeting coming up about bringing our work into schools. But this is a topic that we're going to continue, just getting into slightly older children in our next 2 episodes of the podcast in 2 weeks' time. And Anat will be coming back to this topic for years to come because, as you know, she has a lot to say. So.
Yeah, and there's a lot of wonderful people I want to bring in and interview and so on.
Absolutely.
A lot of great work is done in this area. And now with Zoom, we can bring anybody from anywhere in the world to share their knowledge. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And in 2 weeks, we'll see each other again, hopefully. Okay.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you very much, everybody. Goodbye.
Thank you for joining us on NeuroMovement Revolution with Anat Baniel. You will find all of our podcasts and additional resources on our website at www.anatbanielmethod.com. You can also subscribe to this podcast for free on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, and TuneIn. We look forward to seeing you online for our next NeuroMovement Revolution.